sector. And so, can you see? Yeah. And so we also want to create some international connection between the children, because they will all do some activities in their school, but we want to let them know that other schools in other countries are also doing some similar activities. So we will create some something to link them. And finally, because this is what the aim of HJC is, we want to provide a support for HJC members to go in the classrooms and to perform those activities, and also to enhance their soft skills. So to answer to these three objectives, we have an amazing team that I'm very happy to be coordinated. And we are 12 members of HJC working on this topic. And we also have 2 supports from the project group. So together, on behalf of the Padawans, we want to really thank WIA for this award. It's an honor for us. And we are very happy to see this project moving forward. We already had some discussions with WIA, and I think the collaboration is going to be very interesting for us and for the children as well. So I think I will now hand over to Luisella. And of course, yeah, just one more slide. If you want to contact us, you can contact us on our email. I'm the point of contact for Padawans, so feel free to reach out. And also, we have some social media if you want to follow what we are doing. Thank you.
Congratulations, Clara, and thank you so much for submitting your proposal and for your project that you will lead. We will, of course, follow you throughout the project, and we will promote all your achievement. I think is a great initiative. Concluding, I would like to thank ISA and Mattel for their generosity and for thinking about using the platform of Women in Aerospace to host this great initiative. And symbolically, I would like to hand you over Samantha Barbie doll, courtesy of Mattel. This will be sent over to you, and of course we thank also Samantha for allowing all this happening. I now will leave you with the panel, and I'll come back with you at the end of this session. So please, Sabrina, the floor is yours, and a big applause to Clara.
Big congratulations, Clara, and the whole team. Amazing work, and we're really happy for the award ceremony to happen during this panel. So again, huge congratulations, and it's very in line with what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to now hand it over to Susan to discuss the white paper and some of the research that the group have been working on. So Susan, over to you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. So obviously we're here today representing the WIA-Europe STEM Education Working Group. And I'm sure you're all familiar, but just in case it's new to you, STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics. And when looking into STEM education in Europe, we came across a number of papers reporting quotes from young girls like these. I'm not capable enough, that's a man's job, bossy know-it-all. Research is not a real possibility as a career, not clever enough, and science is only for proper clever people. And one girl even said, when I hear of physics, I think of nerdy boys in my year. I don't really think of girls because they're all into beauty and that in my school. Now, for the last few decades, European countries have seen the same kind of issues surrounding the studying of STEM, decaying interest throughout primary and secondary school in STEM subjects, a constant leaking of brilliant potential from science to other sectors, and the eventual lower number of researchers and technological professionals reaching seniority in their fields. This issue is even more acute in women, dropping out of sciences even faster and sooner than men. As members of an organisation devoted to women in the aerospace sector, we want to tackle the situation that has brought us here and help both young people and stakeholders to better understand each other's needs, encouraging and enabling young people of all backgrounds to pursue STEM careers and supporting sustainable connections between the current workforce and the future workforce. These issues have been prevalent for so long, and while this has brought about initiatives and interventions, the situation still hasn't changed enough. We know that STEM careers are deeply connected to the well-being of our society, medical and technological advances, further understanding of the world and the universe around us. The best way forward is to promote STEM in a meaningful and relevant way, using the inspirational context of space amongst our youngsters, and to do this with the vital help of our professionals. These are some of the reasons why WIA-Europe launched the STEM Education Working Group. Made up of members from unique experiences, from engineers to teachers and psychologists, we have collaborated over the last year to combine our knowledge and perspectives to not only diagnose the core issues, but just as importantly, propose solutions to begin to make a real change. After researching decades of work on this topic with an abundance of meaningful results and useful conclusions, the WIA-Europe STEM Education White Paper aimed to highlight the most common issues found across Europe, helped by practical case studies with established solutions. We are presenting a set of recommendations and are looking forward to helping as many people as possible, young students, especially girls, parents, schools, universities, and STEM sector companies. Can I have the next slide, please? So there is hope. One of the recommendations is the mentoring of young women. And here are some more positive quotes from those who are fortunate enough to have experienced both being a mentor and a mentee. And I think this can't be emphasized enough, how it's just as important and worthwhile experience for the person being mentored as for the mentor. So quotes such as the girls from mentors, the girls loved learning about jobs they didn't know they could do, realizing this could be them in the future. I don't think there's a better feeling than watching someone grow and develop and lifting someone up. And from the people they mentored, said, I could get an overview, for example, 5 or 10 years down the line, what is important in one's career. And it was just so helpful knowing there was somebody who would listen. So this is just one solution. Can I have the next slide? The working group concentrated on 5 main areas: inspiring children, retaining talent, engaging everyone, STEM women, and connecting Europe. And I'm just going to briefly go through these for those of you that aren't familiar with the paper before we move on to the recommendations. So the first area, if we have the next slide, that we looked at was inspiring children. So taking into account that gender roles and stereotypes are imprinted on children very early in their lives, we find here our first obstacle on a STEM pathway: toys, cartoons, behaviours in the family itself, interaction with children and adults. A healthy and balanced relationship with the whole environment must be created for them so that they can develop their own unbiased interests. The next area we looked at was retaining talent. On the next slide. So the uptake of STEM subjects at secondary school and university is lower amongst young women and minority groups, and the dropout rate persists into working life in the aerospace sector. And if we look at the next slide, some of the statistics there, 70% of students said space science is interesting, but only 41% said they would actually like a job related to space science. So the issue here is that an interest in science and space is not enough. So if we then look at the next slide, the next 2 issues that we looked at was engaging everyone and also looking at the visibility of STEM women. So if we think about engaging everyone, we know that children spend the first 3 years of their lives nearly exclusively with their family. This is the place where they learn how society functions. They adopt their parents' or caregivers' belief system, including inherent gender stereotypes. And girls' participation, progression, and achievement in STEM education is, as a result, highly influenced by their families and peers, especially in the first steps of their education. Therefore, the role of parents and caregivers in creating a supportive environment, including toys, community events, libraries, extracurricular school activities, visits to places like museums, that encourages contacts with different vocations, is crucial for young girls to develop an interest and pursue a career in STEM, regardless of their socio-economic status, ethnicity, or their parents' own level of education. In terms of STEM women and their visibility, clearly gender stereotypes in STEM fields remain hard to shift and are perpetuated by media coverage and representation choices. Women in STEM are underrepresented in all fields. And I also strongly encourage you to have a look at the WIA working group on visibility of women in STEM, if this is of particular interest to you. So if we go on to the next slide. The last thing that the white paper looked at was connecting Europe, which obviously is quite a tricky issue. European countries all feature different education systems, including STEM education at all levels. But there are lots of initiatives in all different countries, and initiatives such as ESA's ESERO programme and other relevant experiences in Europe strive to provide a response to the different national curriculum realities. They vary in the subjects taught, the didactic methodologies adopted, the tools made available to teaching and learning, and the resources invested in formal education. So that's just a very brief overview of the paper. And if you're interested, then we will put a link with all the papers if you want to look at any of these sections in detail. The group has now moved on to the implementation phase and focus on 4 main work streams. So I'm now going to hand back over to Sabrina to explain these.
Thank you so much, Susan. And I hope you all got an idea of what the group had focused on. I know we were able to break it down in about 10 minutes, but I can assure you there was a lot of work that went into that and the research. And I do have to give a shout out to all of the members of the group who did their research, both in their community, but actually went outside of their community and did a lot of external research to put those together. So I do encourage you to also read the white paper, and we'll provide you the link to that at the end of the session. So following that, we wanted to also make sure we implemented our recommendations and we took it one step forward. So we came up with a strategy. And so from the white paper, for those of you who have read it, and from the presentation that Susan has given, there were numerous recommendations or outcomes from that we could tackle. So the group really had to decide, what should we be prioritizing and how should we be doing it? So we came up with 4 major work streams. The first one is about partnerships with WIA-Europe. We want to expand and develop that. The second one is about collaboration with stakeholders. So we're talking about schools and governments and different entities. And the third is about visibility, and the fourth about recruitment. So in a moment, each of the project leaders for the work streams are going to go into it in a bit more detail. But in this part of the workshop, we really want you to get involved. We want you to be able to get involved in the discussion. Feel free to unmute yourselves, feel free to take the camera off or use the chat function, but we do encourage engagement. So there is going to be a bit of a discussion for each of these work streams, and then at the end of it, a Q&A. So please have your thinking caps on, and for us to progress with all of this, we want your input. So just wanted to say that before we jump over to the work stream. So now we'll go into work stream 1. So Ines, take it away.
Thank you, Sabrina. So I'm presenting work stream 1. It's partnerships with WIA-Europe. The goal of this work stream is to work or contact local groups that are willing to start doing STEM activities, or that maybe they are already doing. The idea, so having that as a premise, then we would like to have 2 main working lines. The first one is basically align the activities. So we know that there are some local groups already taking action on their sites, but we would like to align what they're doing, know the activities they do, know if they have received any feedback, how long have they been doing this kind of activities, because it's very important for us to have a common goal and to be able to row in the same direction. For this, we have to take our white paper as a baseline for all these actions. And it's very important that we kind of have the experience, learn from the experience from others, and help these local groups who that haven't started yet to reflect on those who have already started and have already feedback. And then we have materials that they could use. So it's very important that we are a contact point for all those local groups, and that we can kind of make a flow of information for everybody. Then the second work line, it's basically ask or transmit the necessity of doing more educational events in terms of having the white paper as reference, and repeat this World Space Week event that we had last year when we presented our paper. And it's really important because then it gives visibility to the paper, it gives visibility to the actions that WIA has taken so far, and the ones we want to take. And I think it's important as well that we have this event as well in different languages, so that everybody can really engage, from high schools or from other groups in which they are interested to implement or to know what's going to be helpful in this the issue with the STEM careers for young people. So basically, the summary of this whole work stream is that our group would like us to be a contact point as well for schools and high schools in the local areas. So basically, Sylvia will talk a bit about other activities that it will do, but it's also very important for us to be a key point, for example, to access when they don't know what the when they want more information about the Erasmus Plus programs for the high schools, when we want to have activities in which they want to involve 2 different institutes or 2 different schools or high schools from all over Europe. Then, for example, some presentation will be held in 2 different countries, and then these people can come together and comment on that. But I think Sylvia will explain that a bit further later. But basically, what I want to say is, like, this group would like to be like a contact point for local schools and high schools, and basically we need to coordinate that between the whole local groups. So this is the summary of all of it. I don't know if you have any questions, or if you have any recommendations, or if you have any ideas maybe on how could we give more visibility to the high schools, that they could come to us, and we will try to find a way to put them in contact.
Yeah, and just to add to that, it would be good to also know where you think WIA should be playing a role in progressing STEM education across Europe. So we've got this working group, you've seen the research, and so going back to Ines's point, tell us what you think. So again, please use the chat function, or please feel free to unmute. Does anyone?
But to say, if there's no one, it's very important, even though there's no answers now, I think it's very important that if you have any idea how could we spread the word into the high schools, of course we will get in contact with the local leaders. For us, it's local group leaders, and these are the ones that have the direct contact with the high schools and schools from the area. It's very difficult to tackle this from a Europe perspective, but it's also important for us to know how do we get to these people, and how do we get to all the schools in the areas. How would be a good initiative for that? Or would you like to tackle, like, in this group?
If I can just come in, I think, so for example, in the UK, we've got an amazing network called the STEM Ambassador network that, you know, they can then use their resources, and people kind of on the ground then go into the different local schools. But yeah, I just wondered if there might be other organizations like that in other countries, because obviously we're talking about Europe.
Yeah,
the chat.
I don't know about that. I know that in Madrid, the local group has been doing a lot of talks in different schools, and they have been trying to engage people in these activities. Like, they have performed a lot of events and things, and they talk to local groups, but of course, because people were in these high schools or schools in the past, so for them it's more easy to communicate what they want and to have the contacts already in the schools. So I'm I'm more concerned about when we don't know the people in the school. No, so I do take a random school in Spain, and if they don't know, if we don't have a contact point, how should we contact them? And these are good points, Susan. I don't know if in Spain we have such a organization, but it's a good point. We can definitely research on that.
And a quick question to everyone, and feel free to use I think you have access to the hand raise feature, but who here is part of a working group or a local group, sorry, at the moment across Europe? So I see Susan, your hand is up, my hand is up, Sylvia. I think a few others in the call as well. So for those of you who are already in the local group, and for those of you who aren't, I think it would be good for us to get a perspective on what you see, and oh, Clara also is in the local group. I think it would be good to get a perspective on what Ines was talking about before. You know, where is it that we can play a role? What should we be tackling, and where should the local groups be tackling as well for STEM education? So schools, yes, universities, yes, but what else? We really do encourage you to get involved, to unmute and to comment. So please, yeah, feel free to do so. And he says, maybe doing some space competition for girls, it might be easier to reach out to schools if there's a specific activity and would require less effort than doing presentations at every school.
Yeah, I think luckily we had this covered in our paper as well. It was one of the propositions. We didn't have the time to organize how we wanted to do it. The thing is that usually there's the language barrier for most people as well. Then also the possibility to move somewhere else, maybe the resources are not enough. And so that's why on the first part of our work now, we would like to do something that's that reaches everyone somehow. And this I would like, if you wait some seconds, you will hear Sylvia here, but she has a lot of nice initiatives to engage different high schools from different parts of the world. And I think it's also very interesting. But of course, for the future, we had it written down in the recommendation of the white paper. We would like to do definitely competitions, or not summer camps, but activities that people could join from all over Europe.
And Diana, I see you on the call as well. So Diana is the local group kind of lead regional coordinator for WIA-Europe. So it would be good to hear your perspective on this.
Well, in fact, I think what you have done, it's already a lot. And I think one of the very interesting points that your very diverse group has brought is to know the initiatives that are working well in the different countries. So these using the good practices and things that are working from and reusing it, taking the idea and reusing it in different places and different countries. I think that could be very enriching, because it's not so there is not so much permeation from one country to the other. Usually education is not so permeable to what things are done somewhere else, and I think we could really benefit from this. So giving ideas and showcases. And as it was sharing in the chat, I also found it interesting that maybe the examples which are given when we speak about STEM or about space as well are not reachable for people. So it's very important for kids that they can identify themselves with the models who are showed. So if we are only showing astronauts, many people will not relate, and they will think it's out of their reach. But if we show the diversity we have of roles and backgrounds we have in space, that could really make a big difference.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Diana, on that.
So I've just seen that someone's got their hand up. Yeah. I'm going to pronounce your name wrong, but is it Clara? Yeah.
Hello. No worries about pronouncing it a bit differently than it sounds. It's a Greek word, sorry. So I really liked the comment from Diana that it's a really diverse field, and people can see, especially students, that there are people from different backgrounds coming into this field. I myself don't have a space engineering or something space related as a background. What I wanted to tell you is that there are already some programs which are educational programs coordinated by the European Space Agency. These are programs are called ESERO, E-S-E-R-O, and these ones are organized locally. So, for example, because I'm Greek, I've seen that there is a Greek section. Because I live in the area around Luxembourg and I'm working in Luxembourg, I know there is one for Luxembourg. So I assume it exists for many countries, and perhaps there could be a coordination with them in a local level from women in aerospace and go to schools and do educational activities, because this is already a part that they are doing. So they contact people who are working in this field, asking them to go to classrooms for 1-2 hours and talk about something they are working on to inspire them to get into STEM. That's all.
Thank you very much. Can I very quickly jump in and just say we were very privileged to actually have Monica Televi as part of our working group. So Monica Televi runs the ESA Education Office, who take charge as the sort of the umbrella of all the ESRO offices. I believe there are about 16 or 17 now. So they do cover many different countries in Europe, and they are definitely the experts on the national nuances in the curriculum and the teaching methodologies, the different barriers faced in each country as well. So we're really, really privileged to have Monica advising on this paper in particular. And it was very much one of her recommendations was focusing on that last point. How do we connect Europe? How can we see on a bigger scale what we can learn from each other, what we can share with each other? So that's definitely something we'd want to explore more. So thank you very much for explaining ESRO so well as well, and thank you, Susan, for sharing the link in the chat there.
I think Marilisa has the hand raised.
Yes, hi to everybody. Hi. I'm Marilisa. I'm very new in this group. It's the first time for me that I meet some members of Women in Aerospace group. I'm the president of an aerospace technology education center in Italy, which is called Aztec, which is new. I've been working for 2 years, and what I do are different initiatives to students to encourage them and to spread the aerospace knowledge. I organize events online and also in presence from different levels of school, from primary to high school. I propose them some challenges, STEM challenge, and also propose the STEM course in aerospace field. We have also a learning platform where students design and organize aerospace system, obviously from different levels of difficulty, depends on the type of schools they belong to. What I want to do is to help my association to work with Women Aerospace Europe, also in Europe, not only in Italy. So I don't know how can I do. What I understand is the best thing is to engage the leaders of local group here in Italy, I suppose. Is it correct?
Yes, you definitely could do that. You could also join our team.
Yes.
Because basically in our team we coordinate these activities. So maybe if you have just joined WIA and you don't know maybe your local group leaders, maybe we can get into contact more easily, starting from our group, from the working group, and then we put you in contact with a lot of people. I mean, from what you said, you do a lot of stuff that we really would like to start doing as well. So maybe you are the expert in those fields for us. So it will be very interesting for us if you could definitely join us on that. But the goal is to engage with a local group from, I don't know where you're based, if it's Rome or
can I intervene on this, please, Ines?
Sure.
the implementation phase of the white paper and all the good initiatives that have been described today and throughout the week goes not simply through the local group. Of course, a local presence is often needed to ease this type of initiative, like going and give presentations to school, but this is not necessarily the only means. And so it's not necessarily, is at a European level initiatives, and collaboration can happen with or without a local group. And it can happen, for instance, through our corporate membership, like Isa was mentioned before, Monica Talevi advising on this group, program that Isa, for instance, again, is just an example, run, and that we can join forces to together. The bursary that we have done, for instance, is another example of how we can implement the recommendation that we described today through collaboration with the Space Generational Advisory Council, which is another group of young professionals in space, a worldwide organization. And Women in Aerospace is a partner, or we are partner, and we share common initiatives. So let's not limit ourselves to the local group presence, and some local group are doing an amazing work in Madrid, in Barcelona, but let's remind us that we have a wider platform and with different extent.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yes, to summarize, I don't have a local group, so I'm totally participating here without a local group, and I could participate in a lot of initiatives. So it's definitely not limiting to have a local group. It's also helpful to get people to have, if you have a local group, then it's easier maybe to do more hand-on activities. But here, if you join our group, it's a WIA International, you don't have to have a local group for that. And definitely it would be a good asset to the team.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're going to jump to the next work stream led by Sylvia, and Sylvia is going to probably go into this conversation in a bit more detail. Hopefully she'll have all the answers to this discussion. So here you go, Sylvia, over to you.
Okay, hello. It's been a lot of talking before, but okay. After we made the white paper, we were thinking about how we could engage students or do something. As Ines had said before, we know there are local groups, as for example Madrid, who is doing amazing work, but we thought about something that could be for different countries and from different students. So we thought about some kind of space network for kids, okay, sponsored by WIA. We thought it would be a good initiative where we could connect students from different countries about the space activities. Of course, we know that there are a lot of initiatives that you have come in, and as Vicky said, Monica is in our group too. And of course, the idea is to try to connect with all of them, but we wanted to do something from WIA, and we thought that perhaps creating a pen pal program in students where they can share their thinking about the Aerospace, where they can share experience. Okay, that would be nice. I form part of one of these, another initiative, which is called Satellite Project, which it's about building a satellite between different students. But that's one part. We could connect with another schools from Europe, with another different organizations, STEM organization. That's, of course, is our idea to do that. And it would be nice to put together of these schools, to put together of these students, and try to engage them through communicating with each other, sharing their ideas. Of course, we thought as well to do or organize online conferences from different experts, from people from WIA or outside WIA that talk about our space. Okay, an example, as Ines says, in Madrid they are already doing that locally. I mean, they are going physically to the different schools and everything, but it's a model that we could use to contact with another schools, with another local groups, because perhaps the idea is try to contact with already STEM programs that some communities, some countries they have, talk with ISA to tell them if we can contact or we can show ourselves okay, as organization, and give the information to the students that they are participating in different programs. So that could be nice too. So our idea is to create a network where students can talk about that, can be engaged with STEM, because one of the problems that we saw in the white paper is that, of course, we have to broke the gender model when the kids are little, but even in the teenagers too, usually they have a lot of problems because they think that being in aerospace is something, okay, amazing, people must be really smart, must be a genius. And I think that talking with them, seeing people that is already doing, even not people which is engineer or in aerospace, perhaps a lawyer that is working in the aerospace sector, someone from marketing that is working there. So our idea is that they know that you can be in STEM in a different way, not only being in engineering. Of course, we want that they go to engineering and everything, but there is a lot of people with a lot of interest that can go into aerospace sector. And I think that if they know them, that if they start to share their interest and we create that network, it would be really nice and very encouraging for them to do it. Of course, the other point that we want to go for is engagement with the universities, with the space-related companies, because we are sure, as some of you have said, that there is people doing amazing things around there, and the problem is that we are not connected, and perhaps in England they are doing something amazing with STEM, and in Germany something amazing with another thing, Italy too, so, and we don't know each other of these programs, and that would be very nice. That could be some kind of connection, and we could work together, because the more interaction that we have in STEM, the better it's going to be for our students and to get to them, which is the idea that we think we are trying to do here, trying to encourage them and trying to connect them and trying to lead them and let them to go to that path, which is going to aerospace, which is the objective of all of this. Okay, so that's what has been our ideas. We are trying to talk with local groups, with everyone that is want to collaborate with that, and try to connect with these schools and try to go for the students, and which is I think for me that I'm teacher is the main part. I mean, we are doing all of this to try that little people go up there and finally end up in a STEM career, which is what we want to do. And if it's not in a STEM career, at least they go interest in our space sector in whatever way they want to do or they want to express themselves. So now, if you want to give us some ideas, apart from the one that I already have been having talk, it would be amazing for us, and we are open to every opinion and everything that you can share with us. Okay, I'm checking feel free, please, to open the mic and talk.
So we have Natalie, who says 100% agreement, more bridges between initiatives is wanted, hope we can work together. Maybe Natalie, you want to share your experience, if you don't mind?
Yeah. Yes, why not? Can you listen to me? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I was talking about the project Women in Copernicus. I don't know if you know this project. We worked in a small team, volunteer team, and we did some survey to women to understand what are their barriers that they have in their education or career. And of course, the visibility of women in the STEM sector, in the spatial sector is one important factor, but not only role model, not only astronaut, not only difficult job, but also all the job that normal women are doing are really important. And I really agree that we should work together and make more links between all initiatives that we do to change the the way the girls can see to space sector.
That's an amazing initiative. I really like it. And I think that did you present something in an Aerospace meeting or because I think I was in one of them and you were showing the initiative and it was amazing. I really look at them. I really like it.
Yeah, we did some webinar with you, with Xenia. Yeah.
If I may, I would like to praise Women in Copernicus because they're very active and we are collaborating with Women in Copernicus already in various initiatives. And I'm looking forward also to your both your Women in Copernicus intervention or events that will take place next week at the Living Planet Symposium in Bonn. Very amazing what you have put together.
Thank you. I will talk. So if you are there, let's meet.
Definitely, we will do. I will come and I will come to the session.
Happy to see you.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And glad we've already got some networking going on here. So that's awesome. So we're going to move on to the third work stream now, which is about visibility. So over to you, Vicky.
Thank you very much, and great to have so many discussions and lots of comments already. I think this work stream kind of ties everything together quite nicely. So this final work stream was about visibility. So visibility of the white paper itself, the recommendations, getting those key messages out to the relevant stakeholders and actors, and raising work of what we're doing and the impact of the work that we do as well. So a key part of the paper was seeing obviously that there are so many interventions at national levels, at international levels, but that a lot of it, there have been many interventions, but there hasn't been a proportionate uptake of STEM with young girls and women. So it was assessing what actually does need to change with these existing interventions to make it more impactful and the right sort of engagement that we need as well, and the right support. So a lot of these actions, there's very broad. We've already spoken about engaging the local groups, so that's making sure the local groups, we can engage them to understand what those actions are. Presenting at conferences, so engaging external stakeholders, presenting at webinars, one of these events, for example, and other events with schools, with community groups, and contributing to communications activities with WIA, so helping to raise the profile of this work through blogs, through media campaigns. We'd be definitely looking to collaborate with the visibility working group as well of STEM, female experts in STEM, and collaborating with them as well, so that it's also reaching younger generations, the next generation as well, so that the content that they're seeing is also supporting them and enabling them to aspire to different careers in the space sector as well. Gathering feedback on our work. And there's one more point in here that I would put in as well, which is providing resources. And it's having this platform to share all this information, all these wonderful initiatives. How can we actually share this information in a practical way? So from this, I'd quite like to pose a question actually that we can launch into our Q&A and discussion section. And that is, what resources would be most valuable to WIA members, to schools, to other partners, to make this happen? So what focal points would be useful? Is it a handbook for WIA members on how to get involved in outreach? Is it how we can have a platform to share existing resources? Do we have a bit of an approval process? How can we collate this all together, having a shared Dropbox or a Drive, putting it on a website that's easily accessible to see all these resources, to see teacher CPD? So that was something we focused on as a recommendation as well from the paper. So existing CPD training, resources to support family and community as well. So not just teachers and schools, but also the wider family, the wider influences of young people, how to also engage them and raise awareness of women in space and the history of women in space careers, for example, as well as current work. And also promoting initiatives such as mentoring, and where mentoring opportunities are available. That was something we found in the paper that is really impactful. Having a sustained engagement and mentoring is really empowering for young people and for women going throughout their careers as well, continuing that take up in STEM. So that's a question I'd like to pose, and then sort of open the floor to discussion points there for the last minute or two. What resources would be most valuable to you that we could provide from our working group? And then we will also post some links in the chat as well. If people want to join our group, we can also support you to get involved in this as well. So I'll hand it over to the floor. If anyone's got any comments they'd like to put to the floor, or any particular resources that they'd find most beneficial to them, what could we provide? What could WIA-Europe be the expertise on, or the facilitator for, that would really help you? I'm also happy to take any questions. All right, so thank you, Natalie. Comment already in the chat there. So putting the A in STEM for STEAM, absolutely. Having infographics, video images for the diffusion of information to all audience, absolutely. So I think it's definitely something to consider there, about making sure it's STEAM and it's very inclusive, very diverse as well. Luisella, I'll hand over to you.
Exactly. We are moving already as women in aerospace on that direction, and soon, actually the next week, we will communicate that indeed we will have someone dedicated to STEAM in the organization, and so we're already thinking in that direction, and I hope that will help.
Fantastic. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Yes, Clara.
Yes, just one remark. Thank you so much for the presentation. And I think something that would be super useful using WIA network is to actually put the spotlight on new members. And I'm pretty sure you're already doing that. And I know in the local group in Toulouse, I think every month they release a portrait of a woman from the WIA local group network in Toulouse. And kind of gathering every portrait and to really explain the different jobs. So that as we were discussing about women in Copernicus as well, so that not the spotlight is only on astronaut, but also on all the jobs and all the possibilities that there are in the space sector, that will really be valuable, and so that we can reflect also on the members of WIA.
Excellent point. Absolutely, definitely. As it's an existing sort of initiative as well, that would be great to sort of adapt that to make sure language is accessible for a younger audience as well as all our stakeholders. So that would definitely be a good point to explore. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like having a sort of small template, and so that it's easy for children to understand what the job is, etc.
Brilliant. All right, if there are no other comments, we might hand it over to Diana, I think, to wrap up.
Oh, and just before, so I just wanted to jump into the workstream 4, sorry, Diana, which is also how to get involved. So workstream 4 is focused on recruitment, but recruitment is really focused on how we get amazing people like all of you who are in the chat to work with us to drive this forward and to help us with all of the programs and initiatives that we discussed today and really build it to make it a reality. So what we would say is that feel free to scan the QR code, and this is very specific to this working group, so the STEM education group. We also has a bunch of other working groups as well, so please do take a look at that. I think Zania might be throwing the link to the working groups and the white papers into the chat. But yeah, if you do want to get involved in our working group, if you want to be part of either of the different work streams or anything that you found interesting, please do scan the QR code. We'll also drop the link into the chat and fill it out and let us know, and we'll be in touch with you as soon as possible. And then just from our side, a huge thank you to everyone who's participated in this call and for all of your interest. We hope you enjoyed our session, and yeah, great work and a huge congrats and well done to the STEM education working group. So I think everyone here in this call deserves a round of applause. So congratulations for the work done so far, and it's only just the beginning of our implementation phase. So keep an eye out, join us, and more to come. So thank you from our side, and over to you, Diana and Luisella, to close it.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. One thought that maybe we did not discuss a lot during this STEM education topic is that it's not only about the kids. So we don't need only to convince the kids that they are going to be able to do that and that it's interesting for them. It's each of the people around them, society, parents, teachers, family in general, need to be convinced these people fit in. And that's a huge work we need to do there. So it's much further than just education. And that's why it's so important, the role models in this topic, that each of them identify themselves with a potential role model. I wanted to thank you for this amazing really work you've been doing with the white papers, with the presentation, with all the activities, the organization. So really congratulations. It has been an amazing work. And so we are now closing a fantastic week. So we had 5 days where we have been sharing research based on evidence. It was very important for us on skills gap, visibility of female experts, C-suite, smart working, and now STEM education. And one conclusion I already sense it, but following all these talks, is that collaboration also among the working groups is going really to be helpful, because we, in fact, the problems are not single, and we need to tackle them from different angles. And we are giving these angles to thanks to these working groups. So now, after these recommendations, we've gathered the recommendation. If each of the working group has been gathering recommendations, and we are now in this implementation phase with many initiatives for individual members, with corporate members, also with partner and other organizations. So it's true that when we want to do an intervention or an initiative in local language, we work as well with the local group. So everybody is working together to make this happen. And now that you've got this recommendation and ideas, I hope you will be spreading them, because what we are looking for with these working groups is to change. We want to really to have a different world, and it is in the hand of each of us. You can be active, and each of us, we can change and make the world that we want, to shape the world as we want. So I hope to see you soon. If you if you're interested in these topics, you can download the white papers on our webpage. And if you are enthusiast of these topics, I hope that you will join one of our working groups. Thank you a lot.
Thank you. And I would like to thank you, Diana, because this initiative started with you, and you have been leading all this working group marvelously, and the results are also impressive. As I said, this was run also in a very short time, which is another, I think, important aspect. The working group worked in a very, with a very compressed schedule, and still nothing was in a very professional manner. So thank you, Diana. Thank you to thanks to the working groups and our panelists of this week. Now I have the pleasure to close this first edition of Women in Aerospace, the first week of Women in Aerospace, and I would like to welcome you again, together with all our team, next year, because we, as I said at the beginning, we intend to continue, and we will have a lot of topics that we want to discuss with all of you and to make progress in our field. Thanks.
And thank you to Xenia and all the communication team as well, who have been doing an amazing work. So Xenia has been doing a lot of project management for this week, Space Week, and contacting people. So thank you a lot, and thank you for spreading the word.